In early childhood, a high IQ looks like a solution to every problem. It is the ability to memorize a textbook chapter in one sitting, or solve a logic puzzle before a teacher finishes writing it. We assume this facility with information will naturally scale to every other part of life. Yet, in many gifted or twice exceptional children, we see a specific breakdown. A student might be able to derive a physics formula from scratch, while remaining completely incapable of the sequential steps required to pack their own backpack. This happens because intelligence is the ability to acquire knowledge, but executive function is the engine that turns that knowledge into action. Think of it as the brain's air traffic control system. This visualization shows the structural bottleneck. While intelligence is a massive reservoir of potential, executive function manages the working memory and cognitive flexibility required to process it. If that funnel is too small, the reservoir behind it becomes inaccessible. When tasks involve multiple steps or competing priorities, the funnel clogs. The brain has the raw power to solve the problem, but lacks the organizational tools to start it. Without these mechanical tools of execution, raw intelligence is a trapped resource, capable of profound thought, but unable to manifest it in a structured world. For years, smart children hide this deficit by relying on fast reasoning to fake their way through simple assignments. They think on their feet rather than planning ahead. But as the workload escalates, the system breaks. When they move from guided, step-by-step schoolwork to complex, open-ended projects, they no longer have enough mental bandwidth to mask the gaps. The result is a total system freeze. They hit a wall, leading to procrastination, intense frustration, and emotional outbursts over tasks that their peers seem to handle with ease. Because the child is clearly intelligent, parents and teachers often misinterpret this biological inability to organize as a lack of motivation or simple defiance. The mind has not failed to understand the task. It has simply reached the limit of what can be solved through raw reasoning alone. This internal friction extends into how the mind evaluates new evidence. In probability theory, Bayes' theorem describes how a rational agent should update their expectations when they receive new information. Mathematically, if a signal is uninformative or carries no new diagnostic value, a logical mind should ignore the signal entirely. The baseline expectation should remain perfectly flat and unchanged. However, data published in Management Science shows that even highly rational individuals struggle to maintain neutrality. They update their beliefs even when the information is proven useless. The shift depends on whether the person wants the signal to be true. If a useless piece of news feels desirable, they become more optimistic. If it feels undesirable, they become more pessimistic. The brain's internal desire for a specific outcome overrides its capacity for mathematical processing. It forces neutral data to serve an emotional conclusion. This proves that even the most rigorous analytical minds will rationalize the specific reality they want to believe, regardless of the quality of the evidence. This glitch reaches its extreme when an analytical mind faces the most unstructured variable of all, another human being. Because the brain is already wired to force uninformative signals to fit a desired outcome, it treats a basic human connection like a volatile, high-stakes engineering problem. It deploys commutative algebra and jack-scale operators just to map the significance of a single person. When these massive internal calculations fail to produce a predictable physical result, the mind judges itself. It views its own deep devotion as a logical error or an act of foolishness. In reality, this dense mathematical framework is a defense mechanism. The subconscious is using the most sophisticated tools it has to protect a latent human truth that it refuses to abandon. The mind is not foolish. It is simply attempting to solve the terrifying autonomy of another person using the only language it trusts, absolute structure. This leads to a fundamental philosophical contradiction. You are attempting to use the tools of a closed system to solve an open-ended reality. Philosophers call this the Cartesian error, applying the rigid, clinical logic of a machine to judge the messy, biological movements of a human life. Thomas Reid argued that we often invent these technical, detached frameworks specifically to mask our own vulnerability. The math serves as a shield against the raw uncertainty of the heart. Within the mind, this architecture functions as a complete translation protocol. It is a structured signal of care, accounting for every contingency. But as the diagram shows, Other people possess absolute autonomy. They will always drift outside the boundaries of even the most complex equation. The Menath isn't a lie, but it is a trap. It creates a beautiful internal ideal that the external world is under no obligation to match. We are forced to accept a structural mismatch. We are high-fidelity transmitters operating in a universe that does not share our architecture. The logic is flawless, but reality is not.